Hello, Eternum, and welcome to KOTT News, Eternum's #1 source for news. And this is the War Report. Hello, Eternum, and welcome back to Everfall. Executing a hammer-heavy strategy early, the forces of Elysian were able to regain control of Everfall in the name of the Syndicate. Refugees formerly displaced by the ransacking of the Reckoning quickly returned home. And speaking of homes, local authorities have tightened restrictions on seasonal decoration size and duration on display. In addition, Elysian is now issuing fur blankets in preparation of the oncoming winter. Following the intermission, both companies fought valiantly, but it was Elysian managing to maintain a 2-point hold. In the late game, Crowned 2 seemed completely unprepared. Last-minute mercenaries were required to fill out the roster, and as such, it was at 17 minutes remaining that the Church of Disrespect seized the archipelago. Church of Disrespect immediately began distributing hide blankets to the previously ignored citizens of Restless Shore and begun multiple civic works projects, offering compensation to those willing to help develop the town. Tonight's Monday Night Mayhem is brought to you by LARPCO brand Foam Core Simulated Combat Weaponry. Remember, if it's not LARPCO, it's cardboard. In the matinee matchup, it's Elite Mercenary challenging the legitimate founders of Morningdale, Death's Wish. The evening shows will consist of Ghost Legion attempting to wrest Monarch's Bluff from the exhausted Reckoning after one day's rest. Meanwhile, Tea Party will attempt to defend Ebonscale Reach from the Mongol Death Army of the Syndicate. And finally, in the nightcap, it will be up-and-coming late-night company that everyone has seen in chat recruiting for Evening Wars, Night Shift, making their first official challenge against Crowned for control of the region of Reekwater. Tune in live for play-by-play in chat, and tune in after the wars for reactions and commentary at 11. Until then, this has been War Correspondent JChalant, KOTT News. Hello, Eternum, and welcome to KOTT News. I'm here on the steps of City Hall in the Deep Woods hamlet of Brightwood, where city leaders have renewed efforts to prepare for the upcoming winter by providing complimentary cords of lumber. Construction on my own home has slowed, but it's coming along well enough. Recent trade embargoes have slowed nearly all aspects of the economy here in Eternum, but that hasn't stopped the civic leaders of Brightwood from serving the people. In order to assist in local defense, the roadways around Brightwood have been labeled, so learn your callouts and help keep Brightwood forever purple. In other news, as winter approaches, the temperatures drop. But what about the hibernating bears? We spoke with Eternum's leading zoologist about recent scientific advances in bear technology. Hello, sir. JChalant, KOTT News, and who might I be addressing?
Theophrastus bombastus, but you can call me
I see. I understand you've developed a new strategy for combating bears.
Bear urine.
Say again?
Boiling bear urine.
We'll have more from Dr. Bombastus later in the program, but this just handed to me. The Marauders of East Dragon have declared war on the spice traders of Dominion. Once again, First Light will become the scene of struggle for control of the region's flow of spice. This will be East Dragon's first war against a well-entrenched Dominion, so good luck out there, guys. In the later event, we have the zealous aggressors of Covenant assaulting Elysian for control of Windsward. This will also be the first war effort by Covenant. I hope they know this ain't Elysian's first rodeo. Who will win? Who will declare war next? You decide, Eternum. I merely report it. Tune in tonight at 11 for more from Dr. Bombastus. Until next time, this has been War Correspondent JChalant, KOTT News. Hello, Eternum, and welcome to KOTT News, Eternum's #1 source for news. And this is the War Report. I'm here in the hamlet of Reekwater, where late last night, Elysian successfully assailed the Fort of Crowned. This marks the third region occupied by Elysian, setting the current server record for consecutive holds. We asked Iron Chef ISN about their motives for Reekwater. After recapturing Everfall on behalf of the refugees who were cast out from the Marauders before them, you turned your attention here to Reekwater at Crowned. Why?
Well, as we all know, no army and no populace can move without food for its people. We've always had a long appreciation for Reekwater and its unique people here. It's access to great high-level fishing with the fishing grandmaster here. And I'm sure we're going to be able to do something to improve their quality of life because it wasn't looking so great under Crowned. And as a longtime chef myself and the primary chef of the Elysian War Machine, we saw the food cart in Reekwater and its access to food stores as something that could really help out the syndicate and move us forward as a people.
Later tonight, Church of Disrespect showing exactly what they mean, accepting 2 wars occurring simultaneously. To defend the newly acquired Restless Shore, they received the Marauders of Squathead. In Cutlass Keys, their original land purchase, they seek to persevere against the sieging forces of Frowned Upon. Both challenging companies are attempting their first official war, so good luck out there, everyone. I hope you brought your LARPco. Tune in after the war for reactions and commentary at 11. Until then, this has been War Correspondent JChalant, KOTT News. Hello, Eternum, and welcome to KOTT News, Eternum's #1 source for news. And this is the War Report. Hello, my friends, and welcome to the peat-accumulated wetlands of Weaver's Fen, currently occupied by the forces of Loyalists, where later tonight the Syndicate forces of Night Shift will attempt their second war effort on the Camelot server. This reporter has been unable to secure an interview with the leaders of Night Shift to determine their motivation, but local geological survey teams have deemed the area to be, quote, of great value. Meanwhile, in Everfall, the forces of Elysian will begin their quest to break the current #Neverfall record of 5. Their opponent, the Zealots of Running Dawn, themselves the former founders of the earlier aforementioned Weaver's Fen. They will have 30 minutes to complete the task, and Elysian has agreed not to take their camp, but have made no such promises about fighting right outside the door. Tonight's Simulated Fantasy Combat Resolution event is brought to you by LARPco brand Foam Core Simulated Combat Gear. Remember, if it's not LARPco, it's cardboard. Tune in tonight after the war for reactions and commentary at 11. Until then, this has been War Correspondent JChalant, KOTT News. War Correspondent JChalant, KOTT News, reporting live from Winsford Northgate, where a new company of, what is that guy, mining over? A new company of religious zealots are attacking the citizens, attempting to convert them by force. I am taking cover behind here. They seem to be similarly clad in color. And whoa, let me get down. They're shooting over pretty closely over here. As you can see, the conflict is on. Oh, they're getting. I might have to. This guy's a little close. Let me get back up a little bit more. Okay, we got an ice pylon down to distract, but I see 4, maybe 5, 6 clad in gold and red members of the Covenant attempting. Whoa! War Correspondent, non-combatant, I have a right, reserve the right to defend myself. You do not want any of this, sir, I assure you. Alright, he doesn't seem to be chasing after me. I'm going to go let civic leaders know that there is a conflict out there Northgate. This has been War Correspondent JChalant, KOTT News reporting. Hello, Eternum, and welcome to KOTT News, Eternum's #1 source for news. Good evening, Eternum, and welcome to the 11 o'clock news. Yesterday, as reported live by KOTT News, an unexpected Inquisition force of Covenant appeared on crusade as they attempted to convert the citizens of North Windsward. When reached for comment, Windsward leadership was unavailable for interview but issued a formal statement that read in part, "While this kind of religious buffoonery does not come as a surprise, should they become too common, action will undoubtedly be taken against them for their obvious crimes. On the other hand, we believe that too much coddling of the populace leads to weakness. As such, we consider these minor religious outbursts an excellent training ground and reminder to our citizens of the harsh realities of Eternum." The statement goes on to read, "If it's not the corruption, it's religious zealots or heathens acting much the same. We must remain diligent, prepared, and aware of these very real dangers." We will have more on this story as it develops. Until next time, this has been War Correspondent JChalant, KOTT News. Hello, Eternum, and welcome to KOTT News, Eternum's #1 source for news. And this is the War Report. O holy night, Eternum, prepare yourself for the Crusaders of the Covenant, as 3 new companies have arisen to challenge the leadership of current regional governors. In the early event, mist and mud and mayhem on the coastal Restless Shore as Lost Kingdom tries to find their new home. This region has been in dispute between the Marauders and Covenant for some time, Squathead having recently claimed it from Church of Disrespect themselves. As such, these constant conflicts to seize resources have allowed the corruption to spread untouched. In the late night simulated combat event, the founding fathers of Monarch's Bluff find themselves under inquisition by the forces of Gilded Centurions. The Reckoning have held Monarch's Bluff since founding it on opening day and are quite familiar with fighting on the bluff. Constantly training against the corruption in the region has kept Monarch's Bluff well maintained. and the battle-hardened Reckoning look forward to the new blood. But it's the middle war I'll be at tonight as the forces of Dive attempt to siege the woodland fortress of Brightwood. Former allies in our efforts to find the truth of the corruption, Dive believes it their divine right to rule. Leaders of Primordus have always been virtuous in their compassion for the refugees of Everfall, and have worked tirelessly to learn about and contain the corruption. And the volunteer forces of the BB put aside their own obligations to assist in retaking Everfall. But apparently, that wasn't enough. So tune in tonight at 11 for live reactions and commentary from my unfinished home in Brightwood. I hope it will still be here. This has been War Correspondent JChalant, KOTT News. Hello Eternum and welcome to KOTT News, Eternum's #1 source for news. And this is the War Report. If you went to sleep early, you missed a snoozer between Primordus and newly converted members of Dive, who were able to force open the gates of Castle Brightwood just as the war entered the final period. Dive was able to get as close as 80%, but it was Primordus summoning the spirit of Brightwood Forest to hold out. The battle over medicinal and luxury goods versus animal rights came to a head last night in Ebonscale, as conservation efforts by CN Panda to preserve the bamboo from deforestation for tea fields won out. CN Panda has assured the citizens receiving spa therapy that they will continue to enjoy medicinal herb, and issued a statement that read in part, "Ebonscale is Panda home. Defend with honor forever." But last night's action didn't stop there. Tonight, the Spice Wars for First Light continue as Dominion finds itself defending against the forces of Death's Wish. Silent since legitimately claiming the region of Morningdale, Death's Wish seeks to take control of the Land of Spice. After that, Dongfeng Express races into conflict with Blood of Elysian as they attempt to seize control of Windsward. Their moronic intentions? Perhaps they've been enticed by the advanced refining and workstation capabilities of Windsward. And for the title fight this evening, it's the Reckoning invoking right of rematch for the region of Everfall. Elysian Kingdom will be going for their second straight Neverfall. The current record? 5 by the Reckoning. All of tonight's combatants will be furnished with genuine LARPCO foam core simulated combat gear for tonight's events. Until then, this has been War Correspondent JChalant, KOTT News. Greetings Eternum and welcome to a special report with investigative reporter JChalant. Debauchery in Windsward as this local reporter was able to identify a crooked gambling ring. While gathering some honey, I overheard 2 hooligans and decided to investigate more. Here's a clip of that live. Okay, I just overheard these 2 talking about loaded dice and a 2-headed coin and oh, did you hear me? Stay still. These bees are buzzing. She appears to be making sure no one sees her. And now appears to be switching out some dice. And there you can see when we zoom in. Enhance. See, there! 2-headed coin. Clearly, these 2 are running a racket, and we at KOTT News encourage citizens to exercise caution. In lighter news, the Brightwood Citizen of the Week goes to Epic Big Whale. Just 2 days on the server, and they are already helping take out bears and the corruption around Brightwood. So let's everybody give Epic Big Whale a warm welcome to Brightwood. In simulated fantasy combat news, isolated and cut off from their marauding brethren, the forces of the Reckoning entrench themselves at Fort Monarch's Bluff, where later tonight, Blood of Elysian will attempt to seize the region in the name of the Syndicate. Both companies representing the strength of the respective factions, but who will win is anyone's guess. We spoke with Elysian leadership last night about their opinion of their competitor.
I'd just like to give thanks to all of the incredible members at Elysian who keep dedicating themselves, refining their skills, and putting in the hard work. And our opponents for continuing to innovate and progress themselves in an attempt to match what we have built here. They had some really great elements to their play, and I'm excited to see them again in the future.
So be sure to tune in for the war and stick around after for reactions and commentary from the populace at 11. Until then, this has been investigative reporter JChalant, KOTT News. Hello Eternum and welcome to KOTT News, Eternum's #1 source for news. And this is the War Report. Hello Eternum and welcome to the southern shores of Cutlass Keys, where this afternoon the Church of Disrespect will attempt to deny services to the marauders of the Reckoning. The Reckoning may be tired though after hosting a LARPCO-sponsored charity event late last night. After that, a fight for control of the oil fields of Weaver's Fen as loyalists Attempt to slow Dongfeng Express. This will be the Loyalists' first defense against a marauding force, having rebuked Ghost Legion and Night Shift before. However, this time the corruption is wild throughout the PD wetlands, and may give the Express a chance to slog their way in. A little history ongoing simultaneously in the lands of Morningdale, such as history has been kept since swimming ashore last month. The once great House of Regime, former founding company of Reekwater, will attempt to reclaim territory from another founding great house, Death's Wish. Secluded in the northeast section of Free Eternum, Death's Wish has put little effort into refining themselves. But perhaps their efforts have been more deeply spent entrenching themselves in preparations for moments like these. Stay tuned after tonight's events for reactions and commentary from the citizens at 11, and don't forget to leave an op-ed below if you think you have a scoop. This has been War Correspondent JChalant, KOTT News. Hello Eternum and welcome to KOTT News, Eternum's #1 source for news, and this is the War Report. Last night was a flurry of activity as the region of Morningdale was co-opted by the forces of Regime. This reporter was unable to get reactions live from Morningdale as Church of Disrespect was waylaying travelers along the roads. The forces of Primordus were quick to mobilize along LeChuck's Causeway, however, and quickly drove them out. But there's never an end to the conflict as two new faction companies have risen to lay claim to the lands of Eternum. In the early slot, new syndicate company, The Home, will attempt to bring the tranquility of knowledge to Restless Shore. Currently held by the forces of Squathead, the region has been in constant dispute for the last few weeks. But, as all disputes are handled, the simulated fantasy combat will be resolved at the coastal fort. Later, it will be the marauders of Dongfeng Express trying yet again to find a station in First Light. The forces of Dominion have held the cinnamon-rich lands of First Light since taking them from Party, and in that time has reinforced their encampment in order to fend off normal cardboard attacks. So be sure to bring your LARPCO brand Phone Core simulated fantasy combat gear. Remember, if it isn't LARPCO, it's cardboard. And in the final war of the night, it will be Mad Prophet attempting to break the never-fall streak of Eleatell Kingdom. Little is known about this upstart company that has risen to challenge the reigning leadership of Everfall, but if we can contact a source for the war, there will be a play-by-play. Remember to stick around after the war for reactions and interviews from the crowds at 11. This has been War Correspondent JChalant reporting, KOTT News. Hello Eternum, JChalant, KOTT News, and I'm here in the back offices of Brightwood's Marketplace, where all trades have been suspended pending investigation of an alleged counterfeiting ring. Citizens attempting to exchange goods and services at this time will see none available. Citizens are also advised that until further notice, all attempts to conduct transactions will fail. These restrictions are not limited to Brightwood and, in fact, impact all hamlets, no matter how big or small. It is unknown if current market conditions will impact tonight's wars. In the early battle, newcomer Kokiotos will attempt to overcome Blood of Eleatell and assert themselves as rulers of Windsward. Eleatell and its family of companies have held Windsward since first swimming ashore and taking it last month. In that time, they have kept tax burdens low and developed infrastructure, as well as containing the corruption to remote locations. As always, Eleatell is keeping their roster close to the vest and will assign roles just before wartime. Those decisions may weigh heavy on Eleatell coaching staff, leaving some members unavailable for the later matchup against the Reckoning. These two faction companies have been skirmishing against each other for several weeks now, and as recently as the LARPCO-sponsored charity event 2 nights ago. But this time, it looks like the Reckoning just can't keep up the maintenance of both infrastructure and corruption management. Will the ongoing trade embargo be the final straw for the Reckoning? Tune in tonight at 11 for reactions and commentary from the citizens. Until then, this has been JChalant, KOTT News.